Hey guys, and welcome to the review of the finale of the season 3 of The Mandalorian. And what did I think of this finale? I must say, I liked it a lot more than I thought, actually, because last week's episode I loved parts of it, and then I hated other parts. But this episode, I would say I mostly actually really liked it. Honestly, I can't even. It almost like it took away the flaws of the last week's episode and decided to only build upon things I actually liked about this episode. So what did I like? Well, I really liked the finale. Finally, the Mandalorians are fighting Moff Gideon's soldiers while the Mandalorian Din Djarin himself fights Moff Gideon, although later Bo-Katan fights Moff Gideon, while the Mandalorian goes to save the Grogu from the Red Guards. And I must say, the action was really good. I really liked the fight between Din Djarin and Grogu and the Red Guards. I thought it was very well done. It was really good. Yeah, because I said the Red Guards one of the few things I only liked about The Last Jedi, and I'm glad they're here actually. And I actually thought this fight here was much better than the Mercy fight with them in The Last Jedi. Yeah, and I thought, I liked it a lot. And I'm also glad that when Bo-Katan fought Moff Gideon, I'm glad she didn't just hurt stomp him. I'm glad she didn't overpower him. Quite the opposite. It's actually Moff Gideon who basically won the fight, but then Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, and Grogu went on to save her. And then, of course, one of the Mandalorians smashed his ship into the base, which killed Moff Gideon, but of course Grogu used the Force to save himself, the Mandalorian, and Bo-Katan. And so when I was watching it, I really liked Grogu in this episode, the way he was using the Force. And honestly, it makes me feel that maybe his training with Luke Skywalker did pay off after all. I really wish it was a lot more elaborated on that. And I really wish he didn't go back to Mandalorian so fast and in a separate show. But oh well, at least just one good thing came out of it, even though it's not very much elaborated on. And honestly, this felt like it could easily be the finale of The Mandalorian. And honestly, I hope it is. Because even though this last episode of The Mandalorian was actually great as far as I'm going to say, Season 3 overall was, as I said, very, very huge step down from Seasons 1 and 2. Very huge step down, despite the fact that I really liked this last episode. So, honestly, I'm hoping this is a finale, because the ending did feel like a finale at some point. So yes, I'm really hoping this is final. And another thing I really liked in this episode is that, because I rented, that they are clearly setting up the sequels trilogy, which I hope this Mandalorian won't reference. Well, this episode had a lot less references to the sequel trilogy, except for the Red Guards, but as I said, they was one of the few things I liked about the sequel trilogy. But yes, this episode, and even Project Necromancer, which I was afraid was referring to Palpatine coming back, there were clones of Moff Gideon, and honestly, you might as well argue that Project Necromancer could be referring to those clones simply as opposed to the actual resurrection of Palpatine. I mean, we will see. But were there flaws with this episode? Well, I did have a few problems. Like the previous episode, I really like how they're clearly setting up Thrawn. And we both know Ahsoka show is coming, where Thrawn will be the main villain. I was really hoping this episode would somehow set up Ahsoka show and maybe show us Thrawn or something like that, or give us a setup, but it didn't do that, no. Like yesterday there was a setup, last week there was an obvious setup for Ahsoka show with Thrawn, but here it wasn't referenced at all. It was just a final battle with Moff Gideon and then basically an ending. And honestly, I really like the final battle with Moff Gideon, but I do wish we get some hints and references and sets up for the Ahsoka show. But overall, I have to say, this finale of The Mandalorian was really good. And as much as season 3 overall was underwhelming, I'm glad at least it ended on a good note. And honestly, I unfortunately heard there are rumors and luckily almost confirmation that there will be season 4 of The Mandalorian. Please not. This actually ended well, and I honestly feel at this point there is just no need for more Mandalorian. Now we have the Ahsoka show, and I really wish if they wanna continue the story, maybe do it in the Ahsoka show, because The Mandalorian, the story feels like it's over. But overall, I think the finale of The Mandalorian was really good, and even though I already said it many times, the season 3 overall was underwhelming, I'm glad at least the payoff was worth it. Even though there's references to the sequel trilogy in last week's episode were still pretty cringy. But oh well, whatever. So, thank you for checking out this video. Press the like button. Please subscribe to this channel. What did you think of the Mandalorian finale? And I'll talk to you soon in another video. Talk to you later. Bye!